Hello and welcome everybody to the final round coverage of the 2020 Music City Open presented by Dynamic Discs. This is the front nine coverage. I'm Brian Earhart, joined here by Sara Sinclair yet again. We've seen a lot of really solid disc golf on this course.
We have. I am very excited to get back out on this course and try some of these crazy shots these guys are doing.
Absolutely. Watching this course get played by some of the best players in the world, a course that I also hold very close to my heart whenever I pass through the Midwest. It's definitely a course I try to check out. And our final card has no shortage of solid players. Alden Harris, Zackeriath Johnson, Chris Clemons, and Connor O'Reilly out of Texas, another really solid player. Alden has jumped up after a huge second round, 17 under par total after 2 rounds, and we still have a very tight race with our top 10 competitors, so anything can happen today. I'm interested to see on hole 1 if anybody is going to try getting aggressive today. We saw Nico Locastro in the past 2 rounds try going hard cut roller to the left, trying to get underneath this low ceiling canopy that blocks the basket. It's 452, but do you think we're going to see any aggressive play for the 2 here?
I hope so. I mean, this course on the last round, you're going to need as many birdies as you possibly can, but it's a risk.
Exactly.
On the tee, Alden Harris.
I have actually never seen Alden play or Connor play, so I'm looking forward to this round.
Alden is a super solid player, and I believe is on tour full-time this year, and has a really cool backhand style. Kind of low release, nose up, but has really solid power and really good control over angles here.
Nice.
You see that kind of scoop in his throw, but it's beautiful.
And we get to hear everyone's tee-off songs here for the final round. Pretty cool.
On the tee, Zackeriath.
Wow, he put a move on that one.
Yeah, that was a huge hyzer. I did not expect it to go that far. Zach is the kind of player that I'm super excited to watch on this course. He has a very unorthodox style, and he's very overhand heavy in a lot of wooded courses. So we'll see what he pulls off here.
Solid song choice.
Power hyzer coming out of Zach's hand. I believe that's a destroyer.
That looks like it may be. Oh!
Wow. Big hyzer from Zach. That should be about 100 feet to the basket for the 3.
Yep.
And Chris, one of the more conservative players that we have on tour. He loves putting it in play. He always leads the tour in OB percentage, so really keeps the disc safe in play.
Did I see a skip from that?
Yeah,
wow.
Low skipper forehand from Chris. And Connor also has a very solid play style, very consistent, conservative.
That just looked effortless.
Yeah, I think that looked like almost a putter out of his hand,
Oh
if
my
anything.
gosh.
Slower disc for sure.
He'll have a nice, even though he's over on the left side, he'll have a nice little open approach shot there.
Yeah, playing the nice short grass leading up to the basket. He should be 5 feet from the 3. Chris just tossing a frisbee in the park there. No problem.
So this may prove to be a little bit more difficult of an approach shot because you can't put a whole lot of height on it with that little ceiling you've got to throw under. But he's within the circle, I think.
Here's a look for 2.
Man, I'm impressed by that tee shot for sure.
Especially with just a power hyzer.
Okay, so Alden did not quite make it within the circle. He's a few feet outside.
Ooh, look at that spin putt.
Wow.
Super clean. Nice putt from Alden. Kind of a Emerson Keith-esque kind of hinge wristy spin putt. Super solid.
Not a whole lot of weight distribution with the lower body, but using a lot of arm. Gets a lot of distance with it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, these are probably 4 of the easiest pars we've seen thus far from the lead card.
And I think after 2 rounds here, the players are starting to learn where to prioritize aggression and where, like holes here, to play a little bit more safe. Hole number 2, we've seen players struggle off the tee to get it to the exact spot they want to be. You want to push kind of an inside hyzer just past this tree to this spot right here. That gives you the easiest chip shot hyzer forehand to the green with a lot of exposed roots and these little wooden runoff blockers that prevent a lot of sliding and ground play. So the farther up the fairway you are off the tee, the better. I think, like you've mentioned previously, the miss is going too far forward or just pushing it too inside to get around the corner.
Yep, we've seen some players clip the trees on the right, as you just saw Alden pass, and that's perfection right there.
Yeah, that's a great shot. Another solid move on the disc here from Zach.
Working
and
that
that
skip.
is way up there. Oh
Wow.
my gosh. That's going to be very good positioning, I believe. Much better correction there from Chris.
These fairways look a little skippier than they were the couple days before.
Yeah, it was definitely a nice dry day out there in
Yes.
Nashville. That was no more than a few inches off the ground the entire way, and
Yeah.
Connors put himself into another good position.
So this sets Chris up perfectly for the backhand approach, whereas most players are going to be doing the forehand around some of those trees that they may not be as comfortable with. But
Exactly.
he's about, what would you say, 18, 20
18
feet?
to 20 feet away.
Oh, Alden actually opts for the turnover shot. Ends up in the little creek bed there, but no problem. No water down there, just plays casual. That's the
Similar.
approach shot that you would see most players typically contend with.
And Zach was actually so far forward that he was going to have to throw some sort of trick shot, skip shot with a flick there. So that was a really solid shot from him.
Wow. Man, good bid. Had some tough footing down there.
Yeah. Just left for Alden. He'll take a par. Birdie for Chris.
Yep, landing up on the high side of the basket's a pretty good idea. Just being a little bit more aggressive on your approach shot and letting it get a little bit above the basket.
Yeah, it takes those roots out of play too.
Solid comebacker.
Zach will also take a birdie after a pretty perfect play on the hole. And let's actually go back and check in on our chase card, see how they played this hole. Here's Reid. Decent kick off that tree. A little bit farther back than you'd like. Here's Dickerson.
We see more of that ground play, but he gets caught up a little bit behind one of those bigger trees in the middle of the fairway.
This is Nashville local Justin Bunnell, who actually used to tour, in, I believe, the 2000s. He was on the road pretty heavy.
His nickname used to be The Kid.
Yeah, he was, still very underrated player.
Yes.
He'll be off to the right a bit, and here's Zach Melton. Beautiful sidearm. Ooh.
Oh, he gets caught up on the right side a little bit.
Yeah, just a bit too far forward.
Wow, that got through a lot.
Yeah. Justin has put himself circle 2 for a birdie, and this is probably going to be a sidearm roller from Zach.
Oh, he hits an unfortunate root that kicks him over to the right side. That's a tough spot to get out from.
Yeah. Oh,
Under the bridge.
it's going to be a fun one from Reid. And Chris is also stopped up in circle 2.
Okay, Zach actually didn't go as far into the woods as I thought he did. He's got a nice little look at the basket.
Oh,
he
my
could have put
gosh. That would have been nice. Oh,
Yes.
solid birdie from Justin.
That's how you want to start your round
Wow.
with hole 2.
Mm-hmm.
Never a doubt with those little step putts.
That is one of his strengths. And Reid also snags the birdie from underneath the bridge. We got a bunch of players out here ready to play.
Yep.
Zach almost with a huge throw in. Is going to settle for a par. And we're going back into hole number 3, 266-foot par 3. You had mentioned in previous rounds, Sara, this is more of a straight shot than anything. You want maybe just a little bit of late turn out of your hand if you're going with a backhand. Really not anything special. It's not as much of a turnover as you'd think. And that, because of that, the sidearm is actually kind of a challenging shot to get up to the basket. You can definitely give yourself a look with it, but even sidearm dominant players like Zack Johnson opting for the backhand here.
Yeah, I think on camera this looks like a tighter gap than it actually is. I would say it's a pretty fair fairway as far as wideness goes.
Definitely.
Oh.
Hits pretty much the same tree that Zach did.
Yep.
Putter coming out of Alden's hand. And that looks good.
That is an ace run. Wow.
Uh-huh.
Very nice.
Perfect. Flattened out at the late flight. Just push straight towards the basket. Here's Connor with a forehand.
Yeah, you've really got to trust your forehand to flip up and then
Yes.
still come back right a little bit. And his just kind of push straight, but it still put him within the circle.
Yeah. Nice little putter flick there from Chris. Oh. Yeah, that'll put him still about circle 2.
Come on.
And this is the hole that starts the stretch that you cannot take a bogey on in this pro field. Zach's going to have some work to do there.
And he still has a putt to come back with.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, this is Dave Felberg, the 2008 Disc Golf World Champion, and I'm here today to talk to you about Pro Pool and their training products. I used to be a dipper. Some people are rounders. To break that habit, you need a Pro Pool. You hook it up to a wall or tree, it'll break your habit. New release, practice poles. You put them together, you stick them in the ground, there's a flag on top, you throw around them, help you accuracy, prepare for your tournament without having to go to the course. This has been Dave Felberg with Pro Pool Disc Golf. Go to propooldiscgolf.com and try our products today.
And we're going to do a check-in with the FPO lead car. This is Holly Finley. I believe she may be throwing a Roadrunner.
That was super smooth.
Yeah. Got Katrina Allen. I'm assuming she's probably throwing an understable mid-range. Oh, man. What an ugly kick off that root.
I think she's still within 15.
Yeah. Got Jessica Weiss. And even though this hole is 266 feet, I was going to say when Alden was throwing his putter, I cannot fathom throwing a putter on this hole. That's just me. It does play a little bit longer than 266.
Yeah,
sure.
it's a little bit uphill, and I
Yeah.
think, you kind of have to challenge the ceiling, the slower disc you try to throw out here.
Here's Callie McMorrin. She makes the mistake that we had talked about during round 1, that she turned it over a little bit too far, putting herself into the woods a little bit. But easy approach shot. Jessica made it pin high. Very nice.
Solid birdie putt.
Woo!
No doubt.
Very nice putt.
Holly also catches the birdie.
Yep.
Alrighty.
Framed up perfectly.
3 down for the hole. And after Callie taps in her par, we're going to move back into hole number 4 for our card. 325-foot par 3. We're seeing a lot of players throw these kind of stall hyzers out to the right-hand side and then having them run out of juice and fall right into this gentle sloping green. Not a lot of skip action can be had on this green because of the fact that you're throwing slightly uphill off the tee. There's not a lot of room to throw really, really low off this tee shot.
That is looking gorgeous. Oh my gosh.
Sweet shot from Alden.
Yeah.
That's pretty much a park job there.
And he kind of snuck through the trees that are in the center of the fairway, right in front of the basket. It's like he's throwing a similar line. Not sure if that was intentional.
Definitely a sawed-off shot there from Connor. Decent move on it from Chris. Still a little inside, but that got through the trees he needed to get through. Park job.
This looks great. Man.
Also checked up
Yeah.
at the same time as the others, but just didn't quite push forward enough. Zach's going to be about edge of circle 2 or circle 1. And here's Connor from circle 2.
Oh no. Well, that roll actually might have helped him.
Yeah, we will see there. It looks like he's still about circle's edge. Very solid putter.
Yes.
Just squeaked it in there right side. He is happy to save par there. Ooh, kind of weird footing there from Zach. Not sure if he tripped or what happened there, but off the top. Solid birdie for Alden. And Chris will also follow suit. Kind of awkward around that tree.
There, he said it. It's kind of awkward around that tree.
Back to hole number 5, uphill, 236-foot par 3. Averaging in at a 2.64 for this final round. A lot of players running this one for the birdie. The flight of the drone here is what a lot of backhand shots will follow. Sometimes the inside forehand route goes here, but a lot of times the outside forehand route around that middle leaning tree is going to get you into trouble if you do not get through those guardian trees. So here's Alden with a backhand.
And that's the mistake you'll see a lot. You're throwing pretty severely uphill, but a very low ceiling with lots of grabby cedar branches.
Yes. And Chris is going with a verdict here, and that hits the leaning tree on the angle. And he's going to probably have to lay up for a 3.
Connor saws that off a little bit, but luckily he lands in the middle.
Yeah. Oh, last Guardian tree Zach needed to miss.
Ooh, nice run.
Oh, yeah. Simple up and down there from Connor.
It's about all you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Jump putts are, if you're in circle 2 on this hole, it's, I would say, pretty difficult to run the basket just because of all of the low-hanging branches.
Definitely.
And he proves me wrong.
Let's go, Zach.
He
Great
kept that
putt.
perfectly low enough with enough speed. That was amazing.
Great release there. Held the follow through on the plant foot. No doubt about it. And a handful of tap-ins for par. And after Zach takes the lone birdie, moves up to 16 under par for the tournament. 3 off the leader, Alden Harris, and we will move into number 6. And again, we've talked about it all week. This is the slot machine hole of the course. At this point, the players have had enough, repetitions practicing this hole where they somewhat have their strategy set in stone, but it seems as if players are making adjustments each time they step up to this tee pad.
At 331 feet, you would think that this is a gimme birdie, but it is actually playing above par at 3.22. And I believe that's because people are just throwing risky shots off the tee, putting themselves in precarious positions, and then having to do some scrambling.
And there's Zach throwing his patented whammy hawk completely sideways off the tee. There's not even a line there. I can't believe he's taking this.
A little bit of wind up there today. It acted weird.
Uh-oh.
And he is way long. Still might be able to get up and down for 3. And Alden's just going with the high turnover.
Okay. That ended up more or less pin high, but that's actually where a different pin position is. That's going to be an interesting look from there.
And that actually looks solid out of the hand of Chris. Depends on what disc he threw. And another shot that's in the middle of the fairway, but no look for the 2. And here's that spike flick that I didn't know a lot of players had in the in their arsenal. But Connor has thrown a solid shot here.
You don't hear anything. That's usually.
Yeah.
Well, he'll have a look from there for sure.
But like you said, 3.22 was the average here, and I think a lot of pros see this green and know that other people are going to be trying, some foolish runs at this basket. So taking a 3 is really not bad here.
Yep.
Connor giving it a bit of a run from where he was at.
Oh, hopefully he's got a little gap somewhere that we can't see. Oh, he's out.
And he's out. Solid par save there from Zach.
I think someone just said doing all that work just for a 3, and that was kind of my point. I said one of the previous rounds. It just seems like a lot of work for a par.
Yeah, really is. And I think it's just one of those holes in this stretch that you just don't want to bogey. 3 is totally fine. But with these pro players, it's hard to want to concede the par from the tee shot.
True.
Wanting to at least, test the waters and see what they could do.
It's fun for us viewers, too.
Is that a Raider?
Yep. Good little bit of turn and then a nice strong fade. I've been meaning to talk to you about your pre-shot routine. In a tournament, you only get 30 seconds.
Wait, really?
Yeah, really.
Oh.
Hole number 7, 632-foot par 4. one of the more varied, I guess, in regards to shot selection that you'll see out here at Cedar Hill. Beautiful downhill landing zone type shot, trying to get to here with some sort of, I guess, any disc in your bag, driver, mid-range, putter. We've seen it from really every player that we've seen come through here, a different type of strategy. But as long as you can get up to this basket with some really sticky long grass, anything will do. And here's Zach going with the flex sidearm.
Yeah, I would say this is kind of a risk-reward shot. If you're gunning it and trying to get out to the open past that giant log, you may be throwing a driver, getting a little bit more aggressive. But if your goal is just to stay right in the middle, maybe more of a mid-range or putter.
And after Zach gets kind of a rough kick,
no.
Alden has thrown his a bit too high and snuck over to the right side where there is a bit of salvation if you do land in the right spot. And I love this play from Chris.
Wow.
Although he is very sidearm dominant
my
in the woods, still such a good spot to be compared to where the lefty sidearm tends to get. So.
Yep. Oh, Connor swinging it out a little bit too far right, but fortunately lands in the middle, so he will have a similar shot to get down to the open. I was wondering if anyone was going to go over the top. Wow.
I think it's a great play if you're going for the par.
Definitely.
And now he has a pretty simple up and down from about 100 feet.
That was great.
And here's Alden doing the same thing. Oh, wow. That's way up there.
Similar spot, possibly?
Didn't
Deeper in the woods?
Quite see it come down. But here's Zach. He does have a little chance here. And he gets out.
Dang. That was incredible.
Yeah, a little bit of a skip, but he's definitely either circle's edge or just outside circle one on that. Great shot. And Chris with a really mature decision to opt for the lefty backhand rather than the easy sidearm off the tee. Put himself into a great spot. That's going to be a birdie.
And capitalizing on some of the mistakes the other players on the card are making at this point. You see Alden throwing out, putting himself inside the circle.
Maybe a little bit of a baby run from Connor, but he'll be easy up and down for the 4. Oh,
wow.
Let's go, Zach. Another one of those really simple step-through putts, just kind of a continuation of his weight. Solid circle 2 putt there.
You'll see some of the local Nashville disc golfers commuting over there, cheering everybody on as they pass through.
For the event, they were told that spectators were not allowed, and so they decided to go next door and post up their spots there and watch the players come in on 7 and tee off on 8. And it just shows how passionate the community is, Nashville disc golf.
Definitely gave some much-needed energy, I think, to the rounds.
Absolutely.
Some people were coming down this stretch, maybe feeling a little frustrated.
And here we have hole number 8, a hole that has kind of given players some trouble this week. Slightly uphill off the tee, 422-foot par 3, dead straight. However, the flex shot with the overstable disc is not quite there because of that little gap the players have to hit off the tee. It's a bit of a pushing hyzer forward with something a little flippier. We've noticed that there's also been a crosswind coming off this road, so we'll see if these players can adjust here. A little too much turn out of the hand from Zach. That wind's going to shove it down. And it was consistent. All 3 rounds, we felt that wind come off that road. And it's messed with these hyzer angles that players are trying to work with. And Chris has made a solid adjustment with a forehand.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Finally threw it low, dude. I've been throwing
Love this line from Alden, too. Hyzer out of the hand that gets helped by the crosswind.
Get up there. Oh,
So
got
close.
caught up by a tree. Do these trees off of the tee get in your head at all when you're throwing?
Me as a lefty, I actually go for a roller because of that.
Interesting.
But for a righty, it definitely does because it takes away the flex shot.
For sure. You see Connor there hitting the orange fencing. I'm glad that happened
Yeah.
because it's a sinkhole that could be pretty dangerous to get your disc from.
Connor and Zach both put it with inside the bullseye. Should be tap-in threes for both of them. Here's Alden for birdie.
Oh man, great run.
Such a strong skill to have that spin putt from such a long distance.
Yeah, Clemons.
Beautiful.
Solid birdie from Chris. That was a huge sidearm, and to play the wind with a sidearm that well is so solid. Great birdie there from Chris. And I had thought that Connors was a lot closer than that, but he does cash the 15-20 footer for par.
Third round, this hole actually only played .16 over par, so comes in pretty solidly at a 3.
Yeah, I think this is a perfect par 3 to challenge the top players. And we move into hole 9 after kind of the modern par 3, the longer stretched out par 3. We have this shorter par 4 that we've seen players attack so many different ways this week.
It takes a crush. You want to get to about here. And then from here, you've just got lots of trees to contend with. You've got this new kind of circle where the disc is, where there's lots of wood chips, so not a whole lot of skipping. Maybe a tree or two more that could be taken out in future iterations of this hole. But yeah, the approach shot can be pretty tricky.
Oh, yeah. And here's Chris going with a fuse, just trying to get it out into the open. And he's up on that right side. I'm not quite sure what he has from there. I think he wanted it to turn over off the tee. And speaking of different ways to play the hole, here's Zach trying to go for the pin on this shot.
Wow.
And that is
You
right
made a lot
where
of
you wanna
progress.
be. Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Alden playing the Hyzer flip.
Oh, wow. That fought through everything. And he's
Wow.
actually too far. He might have something over the top in the middle, but we have not seen a player get there yet.
Yeah, he kind of missed the gap on the right side or on the left side.
Yeah.
He's going to be pretty pinched off unless there's some gap over there we can't see.
Connor with a similar line to Zach, a little bit lower, and might have a little bit more pinch off with that second shot. Bit short there. Circle 2 look from Chris. And yeah, let's see what Alden has up his sleeve here. He's not going over the top.
Looks like he's got something.
Some driver in his hand.
Huh.
Yeah, that just looked like a tough spot to be.
Yep.
Unfortunate for how far his drive got up there. Ooh, a little pan shot from Connor. That is going to be a birdie. What a scramble.
Very nice.
Jump putt approach from Zach. That's going to be an easy 3.
Alden's still got quite a bit of work to do from here.
And he has conceded the par. Smart move. Chris is going to tap out a 4. Just missed that circle 2 putt low. He's going to be 4 under par for the 9, though. Pretty solid spot to be. Connor at a little bit more modest of a 2 down. Zach splitting the difference at 3. And Alden at 2 down as well. The whole card kind of has some work to do. Let's check back in with our chase card to see how they played the hole. Here's Justin. Such a spinny throw coming out of Justin's hand. That was a beautiful, simple shot from him. Just got caught up in the middle.
Reid putting it pretty low, but it looks like it's going to cut through all of the trees. Oh, except for that one.
We jinxed him there. That was going to be way up there. And here's Chris. Yeah, Chris just seems to have the strategy of play a mid-range out to the original pin placement and then scramble from wherever he's at. And he's played the hole really solid this week. Driver out of the hand from Zach. And that's another perfect spot.
So Justin's got to turn this corner a little bit. Oh, he nicks off of that tiny tree. He's sailing forward somehow.
He'll be off in the woods a little bit. Probably easy pitch up for a 4. Yeah, Chris is not wasting any energy on this hole whatsoever. No thought. Mid-range, putter. Easy bird.
Perfect approach from Reid. Man, Zach got way up there.
Yeah, lefty flex with the driver. And still should be about 25 from the basket. Ooh.
Whew.
Way to put the key in and lock it. They don't want it all. Is that inside 20?
Questioning.
I would love to see a Zach Melton, Chris Dickerson mic'd up round. I think their banter back and forth is pretty iconic at this point in the disc golf world. So must have been a fun card to play on.
Yeah.
Justin taps out his par as well, and Reid is going to tap out a solid birdie. And we got some players. We see Dickerson is on the hunt here from chase card, as he usually is. And that's going to do it for our front 9. We have everyone on the card under par, but still leaving something to be desired. We will catch you on the back 9. Make sure to subscribe to Gatekeeper Media, and we will keep bringing you solid disc golf content. Again, Sara, we're out of here.